Prague, a city steeped in history where sex is for sale.
Beer for the sex.
Some women are forced to work as prostitutes for the profits of ruthless sex traffickers. It's a town where even the cab drivers carry guns. And the city's gangsters use violence to protect their trade. I'm here to discover why Prague is considered one of the world's toughest towns.
We're journalists! We're journalists! What's your problem? What's your problem?
Prague is one of Europe's #1 tourist destinations, attracting millions of visitors every year. But Prague is a city of contrasts. As the historic capital of Bohemia, it was at one time the cultural heart of Central Europe. For hundreds of years, it has also been attracting people with its liberal attitudes and sexual permissiveness. But this bohemian ideal has now been corrupted, and Prague is now known as the stag party capital of Europe. A city which at the weekend is swamped by Brits on the piss.
Stag parties come to Prague because they like cheap beer. They like attractive women. It's just really, really fun. They can get wild.
In 2007, over 500,000 British tourists visited Prague. Many of them were young men in the city for cheap alcohol and strip clubs. Some of the biggest and most popular of which are based around Wenceslas Square in the center of the town. But this is the image of the city they want you to see, one which is hiding a more sinister side. Many of these strip clubs are in fact legal brothels, and in this city of just over 1 million people, there are roughly 200 of them and thousands of prostitutes. This is an industry worth nearly £150 million a year. I'm in Prague to see what is lurking behind the cheap beer and sex that's on offer. I want to find out if this is just a hedonistic city, or if there's something more menacing going on behind the scenes. When the sun goes down, the city begins to show its true colors. And when a British football team comes to town, the bars and clubs in this centre are not slow to try and pick up some passing trade from the fans.
Strip club, sex, sex, lots of girls, good girls, cheap, expensive.
I ordered that. No, it's not.
Not cheap.
Cheap, yes.
Cheap, okay.
We have open half an years. We have a good price.
Is everybody here is going to go, are they? We all going to go? Okay, we're going to have a party.
One look at Wenceslas Square, and it's obvious why this place is such a magnet for the stag parties.
I'd say for the mash, mate. Total mash. We fucking love it.
I disagree. I'm here for the sex.
I'm meeting with a prominent local journalist who's under no illusions as to who is cashing in on the city's tourist trade.
Are you uncomfortable with the number of brothels and strip bars that have sprung up to address the need of the British tourist?
The problem is that these people are going to the, for example, as you said, strip bars, which is owned by somebody from the underground or underworld. And there is a problem that the people from the Britain may support people from our underworld.
I've been told that organised crime syndicates are controlling the strip clubs here. And if they're running the clubs, then they must be running the women.
The sex industry in this city has taken on a life of its own. It has a kind of unique take on the vice trade here. And the thing is, yes, sex is for sale. The really interesting thing here is that on a large scale, the product, women, are for sale, are being trafficked. And I need to get to the heart of the action to find out what's going on.
I'm at what locals call the Sex Park, one of Prague's newest additions to its red light district, and one that's very popular with the Brits. I've heard sex is for sale here, so I want to see for myself and see how some of these women are treated. Wandering around, you notice girls hanging out of doorways in their underwear. It's a simple business transaction. You negotiate a fee with the girl and go inside for your half hour of sex. I'm back on the streets of the red light district. And it's not long until the presence of our camera starts to cause a reaction from the touts outside the strip clubs.
Hey, it's illegal.
I'm not recording you. What's your problem?
In this country, it's illegal.
Hey,
to record people without the agreement.
Maybe you got something to hide.
Things escalate very quickly as I'm surrounded by 4 or 5 of them.
Hey, you can. Hey. Fuck you! We're journalists. What's your problem? What's your fucking problem? Walk away. We're walking away. Fuck you! We're journalists. We're doing our job. We're doing our job. You got something to hide. You got something to hide. You got something to hide, buddy. You got something to hide. Walk away. Walk away. Here's the gig. It's an industry which has got nothing to hide. You walk down the street with a camera and they start harassing you. Fuck me. Well, you know, industry, nothing to hide, so no problems. Or else, maybe, there is a problem.
I'm in Prague to discover if there's a human cost to the city's thriving sex industry, and I've already come face to face with a very ugly side of the business.
Fuck you! We're journalists! We're journalists! What's your problem? What's your fucking problem?
There are people in town that don't like questions being asked, but for the discerning sex tourist, Prague is still the destination of choice. It's here where the friendlier side of the sex industry gives its more menacing big brother, the sex trafficking trade, a shroud under which organised crime in the city can operate. Prague is also known as the capital of the historic region of Bohemia, an area that became associated with liberal thinking and unconventional attitudes from the beginning of the 19th century. It is still now considered by most people as a hedonistic paradise. But rewind half a century and you will see a very different city. From the end of the 30s until the end of the 80s, the Czech Republic lived under the yoke of oppressive invading forces, firstly under the Nazis and later communism. In 1968, the Czech people tried to speak out against their leaders in Moscow in an attempt to create a liberal democracy. But by the summer of that year, the Prague Spring, as it is now known, was crushed by the communist might of the Soviet Union. The lifting of the Iron Curtain and the collapse of communism at the end of the 80s led to Czechoslovakia's Velvet Revolution. A peaceful splitting of the country into 2 states, which we now know as the Czech Republic and Slovakia. At this time, organised crime networks began to infiltrate the Czech Republic to take advantage of its geographical position in Central Europe. They creamed off the most lucrative parts of the infrastructure during the transition from socialism to capitalism. And this included Prague's thriving sex industry. Throughout Prague's recent history, organised crime has made a home for itself here. But I want to know how far it really goes. Peter Jones is a British journalist who's lived out here for years and has had his own experience of organised crime and the sex trafficking trade.
From your experience, who's running the city at the moment?
Well, Prague's quite sanitised when you see it. You don't see any real problems. Anywhere where there's big money, tourism is a great example. It's the number one industry in the Czech Republic, in Prague in particular. Where you have big money, you'll always find a Russian influence. The simple fact is, if you're buying a sausage or something on Wenceslas Square, or changing some money on Wenceslas Square, in a way you are again contributing to the coffers of the underworld, because many of these innocuous things that you wouldn't think will be controlled by these elements are.
And the fact that Prague and the Czechs have been so open and liberal about the sexual trade, has that allowed sex trafficking and trafficking of women to flourish?
I know that there are a number of girls that come from the former Soviet Union here, and I know that there are, at least until a couple of years ago, there were many of them that were held in certain institutions against their will.
I'm shocked by what Peter had to say about sex trafficking and the human cost involved. It's alarming to think that somewhere in this city there are women being held prisoner and being forced to work as sexual slaves. Sex trafficking is a modern-day version of slavery and involves illegally forcing someone, whether child, teenager or adult, to work as a prostitute against their will. I'm going to a secret location in the center of Prague to meet a woman who was trafficked all around the world. 3 years on from escaping her captors, she is still trying to come to terms with what happened to her. Natasha is originally from the Ukraine, where her husband constantly beat and raped her. She had agreed to speak to me, but did not want to be identified.
Já jsem to nezvládala. Já věděla, že když zůstanu s tím člověkem, tak on mě zničí, nebo já sama sobě něco udělám. Ona mě říkala, že pomůže mě odjet hrozně daleko a že on mě nenajde.
Natasha was taken from her home and told she'd be working abroad, but had no idea where she'd be going or what she would be doing. Around 750,000 people are believed to be trafficked across international borders every year. Many of these victims come from the poorest areas of Russia and Eastern Europe, where they are easily exploited by promises of well-paid jobs and a better life in countries further west. Natasha ended up being trafficked across Europe and eventually to Canada.
Dva muži, který když uviděla, tak já jsem pochopila, že to je prostě mafia, že ti lidi hned poznáš, jak vypadají. A já říkala, kterou práci budu dělat, co budu dělat. Jeden z nich sedl a říkal, že budu pracovat. Já jsem říkala, že to dělat nebudu. Vůbec mě říkala, že to je jedno, co mě říkali, že to budu dělat. Že pokud nechci, aby mě jako zmlátili, nebo...
Unfortunately, Natasha's story is not unique. Once the trafficked women reach their destination, they are imprisoned without any chance of escape, and usually end up in situations where they are threatened, drugged, beaten, and often raped.
Já jsem byla v takovém stavu, že já nevím, já jsem neuvědomovala, co vlastně se děje.
Natasha was eventually flown back to Europe and forced to work in one of Prague's brothels until she was freed 3 years ago during a police raid.
As a father with two young girls, I can't believe that kind of men can be that abusive. It comes down to the fact is that on one side there's the mafia, gangsters and millions of pounds, and the other side there's the human cost. And the women we've met there are part of the surplus to requirements human cost of a very brutal and very lucrative sex industry.
This is a devastating crime where a human life is worth just a few £1,000s, and women are bought and sold like any other black market commodity. The people behind this industry are making millions from these helpless victims, who are then unwittingly preyed upon by foreign sex tourists. After hearing Natasha's story, I am now keen to see what the local authorities are doing to try and put an end to this terrible abuse of human rights. The Prague City Police are constantly monitoring the city's strip clubs and brothels, on the lookout for women that shouldn't be there.
Jdeme na kontrolu teda provozoven se zaměřením teda na osoby teda z jiných zemí, teda než je naše republika.
What the police need to establish is whether these girls are here legally. If they're not, then there is a strong possibility that they may have been trafficked. This helps the police gain intelligence on who is working in the city centre clubs and may stop the traffickers from supplying the brothels they target.
To vlastně všechny vlastně jsou z Ukrajiny, dokud nemají v pořádku, a bydliště taky mají vlastně v Praze, takže vlastně.
But this does look like a lot of paperwork with not a great deal of action. It seems the authorities here are more interested in prevention than they are in the cure. These strip clubs and brothels are all over Prague, and even some of the British expats are aware that these places are being run with a lot of foreign money and influence.
You've only got to walk past a strip joint and look at the size of these buildings to see that they're definitely making their money somehow. These places that they're using are huge and they're always open, they're always busy, and I don't think, as far as I'm aware, that one of them is owned by a Czech. I think it's all other money that's coming from somewhere.
Over the last 20 years, organised crime has made a home for itself here in Prague. But every once in a while, the ruthlessness of these organisations is forced onto the front pages, where allegedly legitimate business people have very public disagreements. Local businessman Václav Kočka Jr. was shot dead at a party held for the ex-Prime Minister Jiří Paubek at one of Central Prague's most popular restaurants. Both the shooter and the victim were friends of Paubek and, according to witnesses, became embroiled in an argument over who had the most money in their pocket. The funeral was attended by the ex-Prime Minister as well as a number of alleged organised crime families.
Well, it's a very interesting time to be arriving in Prague in the aftermath of a really high-profile murder at a very high-profile event, and I can certainly detect an air of tension about the city.
It seems that organised crime has a hold on this city, where politicians and alleged gangsters mix in the same circles. I'm back in Wenceslas Square, in the centre of the town, to meet my driver Joe. He's a local taxi driver and is going to be looking after me for the next couple of days. I'm hoping he can tell me more about organised crime in this city.
So Joe, who runs this town? The mafia or the people? The government or the gangsters?
By the government, by night, just
gangsters.
Gangsters, yeah.
Well, it's nice to know.
It's good to know.
Good to know.
For myself, I have a gun, you know, just for good, have a good feeling, like I'm safe, you know, because you never know, you never know.
It shocks me that Joe carries a gun. he must be carrying it for a reason.
Most other drivers and people who are kind of making the money in and around, you know, taxis, the sex industry, drugs, would they carry guns too?
Yeah, most of them, yeah. Most of them, just for own protection. There was several taxi drivers get killed or injured, you know, because of the stupid fucks. They try to rob you, you know.
And what type of gun do you have?
I have just a
Glock.
Yeah, it's a small, easy 635, easy to carry, you know. 635 Browning, made in Czech.
Of course.
Very light, handy, new type.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Holding the gun in my hands forces me into the reality of the situation. Joe carries this because one day he may have to use it in order to save his life.
Because I'm watching it every night. You know, people buying, selling, anything, drugs, maybe guns. But, well, I don't say anything. I'm just seeing it, but, you know.
Hear no evil, see no evil, ask no questions, and carry a gun, and then you feel safe.
Yeah, exactly.
What Joe told me is a very interesting portrait of this city, and not quite the picture of Prague the average stag party hears about. Organised crime appears to be buried in the DNA of this city, where crime syndicates appear to have gained influence in every aspect of life here, from the hot dog stands in Wenceslas Square all the way up to Prague's political elite. It's these mafia factions I'm interested in if I'm going to get to the bottom of who's running the sex trade here. I'm in Prague, one of Central Europe's most beautiful cities, with a cultural history that spans back over hundreds of years, once being the home to the kings and queens of Bohemia. The city is now under the control of a very different ruler. And this hasn't stopped the influx of British stag groups.
This is your fourth time for me. Fourth stag night in Prague. Fourth. Where's the groom? Where's the groom now?
He's unconscious. He's he didn't last very long. He's been doing all right.
Is it getting better every time, or?
Not so much. It's getting a little bit more seedy.
Is it?
But I think a lot of the places are a bit more kind of orientated towards full-on kind of activities.
Amsterdam, you know, it's getting
more like Amsterdam now.
Properlised.
The Brits for the moment seem to be enjoying themselves, but even they have begun to notice that Prague's sex industry is becoming sleazier. I'm back in the car with Joe. He's introducing me to the dark side of this city. I've heard the tragic stories of the victims of trafficking and that organised crime is running the sex trade. In this situation, you would think that the government would be doing everything in its power to halt the growth of this industry.
It's good for economy, you know. I make quite good money. I make good money, but like from boring Japanese tourists, we get nothing, you know.
So this town needs more sex.
Yep. Good, better nightlife, bigger, better, more and more.
The tourists don't complain, the politicians don't acknowledge it, the mafia make their millions, the women continue to be trafficked. You know, you carry a gun, the tourists just have a good time, and you know, if you refuse to see a problem, wear your blinkers, then there is no problem.
Exactly. Yeah.
But if you scratch the surface, people get killed, murdered, threatened.
Yeah.
It seems that organised crime in the city is swelling to uncontrollable levels. Wherever there is money being made in Prague, there appears to be organised crime. The Russians are allegedly involved in tourism and the big strip clubs in the centre of town, businesses that no doubt are cleaning their money. But there are also other factions from all over Europe, including Bulgarians, Chechens, Israelis, as well as local Czech and Gypsy mafias. This is a murky world which can only really be understood from the inside. In order to piece this story together, I need to see how these different mafias work in the city. But to do this, I'm going to have to speak to some of them. Joe is taking me to meet a contact that may be able to put me in touch with some of these mafia factions, and hopefully I can then get some answers to who's running this town. He's very nervous about the camera, and by talking to me, he could be putting his own life in danger. This is a very important meeting. If this goes well, then hopefully I will get access to some of the city's big players. I've heard his English isn't very good, so Joe is here to translate for me.
So basically, you know, who's running the town and what are they running?
Bulgarii, these drogi, run the drugs, gypsies run prostitutes mainly.
Joe's contact has a link with a Czech gypsy mafia family who run some of the suburbs of the city. He's promised to set up a meeting for me later on tonight.
Our gypsy friends in the suburbs, they're the real deal.
Tak jsou to agresivní lidi. They are very aggressive people. Ovládají tu kladno tam, ten celý ten.
And it would be wise to recognize them as dangerous.
Na 100%. Wow, 100%. It's
Thanks, buddy.
Right, perfect. Okay. Good to see you. Nice to meet you. Goodbye.
I've heard from Joe's contact that the gypsy mafia who I'm meeting this evening run a prostitution ring. They're the ones I need to speak to. But after my reception outside the city centre's nightclubs, I'm slightly nervous about what might happen.
Fuck you! We're journalists! We're journalists! What's your problem?
These people do not like cameras or people asking the wrong kind of questions, and they will no doubt be a bit jumpy about our presence. These kinds of meetings can turn bad very quickly. I'm back in the car with Joe on our way to the suburbs. We're apparently meeting somewhere on the Czech Republic's Road of Shame. It's one of the main arteries linking Prague to Western Europe and has become notorious for smugglers, sex tourists and prostitution ever since the end of communism.
What potential do you think it is for things to go wrong?
I don't know. Well, I'm your backup, you know, I'm armed, but I don't know. We have to be careful. Look where we are, you know, it's middle of nowhere, you know, so.
The further we drive into the outskirts of the city, the more I feel like we're heading into an unpredictable and dangerous situation.
I mean, this is going to be a difficult meeting people in effectively a kind of extended lay-by, and you don't know what you're walking into. And I know we're coming in to meet two strangers, no idea what they've done. We know that they're underworld figures. You know, they know I'm interested in the underworld. They know I want to ask about what's going on, what they're about, what they do, just to get a window. I don't even know yet if they're prepared to go on camera, or if they'll freak. But we'll just see what happens. Is this it? No?
Yeah, I think so.
My God, this is it?
Looks like it, yeah, I think so.
As we arrive, it becomes clear why we've been brought here. It's the perfect place for a clandestine meeting. All we can do now is sit and wait.
When you're in a state of kind of paranoia, everybody's a fucking gangster. Fuck's sake.
But it's not long until we get a feeling that we're being watched.
At them, what do you think? Let's get on the phone. Let's find out. Any word? I mean, we saw a guy come in and pull out. Was that them? There has been a few fellas around to check us out. Yeah. Okay. Bye-bye. Happy on the way.
I'm meeting Puncha and Adam, two lieutenants from the Ola crime family. They are two of the 6 brothers that control a large area on the outskirts of the city. I want them to tell me how the different mafias run this city and how they fit into the jigsaw.
How you doing, guy?
They appear
Adam,
to
how
have
you
brought
doing?
with them a
How you
large
doing?
entourage, and
How you
this is
doing?
not what I was expecting. Their reaction to the camera is far worse than I expected.
I'm back.
The situation is about to turn nasty, and I have to calm them down very quickly. But Puncha and Adam are still obviously very jumpy. They slowly begin to cool down and allow me to ask some questions. The atmosphere is calmer, but we are all on edge, and I'm aware that the wrong question could cause another explosion from Adam.
Now you're the boss of this zone here. You're the boss.
Celkově rodina. Family together.
Family together. And have other people tried to take your business away from you? Russians. And are you strong enough to keep them out? Because they've got lots of rubles.
Oh, they're holding it since 90s.
And what language do they understand, the Russians? Violence or money?
Sila, yeah, power.
Just power. And so when you go into Prague, are people trying to have a fight with you because they want to take you down, challenge you, your reputation?
Yeah, they're afraid of that. Right.
So it's no problem. And here, because guns are legal and everybody's got a gun here, you know, is that bad for business?
Yeah, it's illegal.
Now in Prague, you know, when they talk about people running the girls in Prague and running the business and drugs, they use the word mafia. And people talk about mafia. Is it Russian? Is it Nigerian? Is it Czech? You know, is it Gypsy? You know, who runs the mafia?
They are high up the mafia hierarchy here and are not people to be crossed. I've been told they run a prostitution ring, but I want to know if they're actually buying and selling women themselves.
So if I want to buy a girl from you, from my house, my brothel in London, how much would it cost me? £3,000. That's a bargain. And do I get a discount if I take 10? No problem.
Oh, he must finish because he's going to buy.
Okay, yes. You must finish because you buy drugs, okay.
The brothers' laughter as they leave doesn't hide the fact that these are two of the city's most ruthless and violent gangsters.
Fucking hell.
That felt very edgy, and I'm glad to be back in the car and getting out of the area as quickly as possible.
Fuck me. They're the real fucking, that's the fucking real deal. That's the real deal. The thing of it is, if that goes wrong, you know, he just, you know, he would pummel us to dust. And not give a second thought.
Exactly.
Well, you know, I now understand a little bit more how Prague works. It works on a kind of peaceful détente, a gangster's kind of UN convention where everybody's got their own territory, everybody knows where they get the girls, everyone knows where to get the drugs, everyone knows whose business area, and whose business district belongs to who. And as long as you respect that, then there's no trouble and everybody makes money. So the secret to this tourism business and the secret to the gangster business and where they cross over with the women is stability.
Stability, exactly.
Don't ask the questions, don't challenge, don't provoke, everybody wins.
Yeah.
I've been given a glimpse of Prague's dark underbelly, and it's definitely not the city you see in the holiday brochures. It's a place where mafia bosses rule and the unfortunate are preyed upon by human traffickers and international sex tourists. Last night I met part of Prague's mafia underworld face to face. I was told I could buy a girl for just £3,000 and get a discount if I buy more than 10. The alarming thing was how they compared selling women in bulk to that of any other product. Women to these people are just a commodity. But those guys are small time in comparison to what goes on in the city centre. This is where the serious traffickers operate, bringing girls in from all across Europe and filling the brothels around Wenceslas Square in the centre of town, where British tourists may decide to spend their money. But some of these Brits have noticed a big change in this city over the years.
First time I came over was about 15 years ago, and it was probably
you were
about
breaking
3
ground.
years, 3 years after the Velvet Revolution.
You were breaking new ground, yeah.
And it was a fantastic place, and it's kind of sad really to see the
it's just
the main
sacked
streets
from
completely taken over by strip clubs.
Now it's lost its innocence in a big way, hasn't it?
Yeah, I think so, and it's saying you can't walk anywhere without somebody pestering you to go to a sex show, and I think it's a shame really the way it's gone.
Yeah.
It's like a sort of poor man's Amsterdam.
Prague, it seems, is beginning to lose respect from some of the British tourists. And the city's loss of innocence has opened the door to the sex trade entrepreneurs. These are people that are here to make money at any cost.
Well, a meeting's been arranged between a Prague city centre downtown trafficker called Tibor. Now, these guys don't come with CVs or references, but as best as we can maintain, this guy is a serious trafficker, makes lots of money downtown. He supplies women from abroad to the brothels.
I meet Tibor and his bodyguard on a quiet street corner not far from the centre of town, and we head to a local bar where we can talk in private.
Where do you get your girls from?
Z celé Evropy. Češky, Slovenky, Polky, Maďarky, Španělky. Lidi mi nabízejí. Mám si jednou zkusku, pořadu fotky, dávám to a vybírám si. Oni mi to dají prachy to dají. Máme takové už kontakty s lidmi. Teď, když někdo zavolá, že mám jít třeba do Španělska proti holky, pošlu lidi, jedu. A já pomoci. Tady dělám sám.
If the women are difficult, what do you do? How do you manage the women?
Pokud nepovím, vyhodím, nebo musím dělat to, co chci já. Musím dělat to, co chci já. Musím dělat to, co chci já. Nezajímá nikdo. Řeknu, buď tady, musí být. Nezajímá, nestará.
Woman does as she's told. You're the boss. And if she disrespects you, what do you do?
Ničím, potrestám. Jednou potrestám, přivážím, ničím. A tam donesím. Hele, jí to? No tak držel jsem. Já nemusím nic dělat, a do ramena. Zaspané. Bavím, podám nějaké slušky. A pokud se týče, hele, pokud se týče ovšem nějaký biznis, a vím, že to vychází, tak jsem prostě takový.
Are they allowed to travel outside the house? Outside Prague?
Pasport bereme my. Nemůžu.
Tibor's honesty and flagrant disregard for the camera shocks me. He must be a serious player to not care about being identified.
And police, chief, police, they respect you?
Yes, you pay this police.
Well, there's no doubting that guy is the real deal. Scary, dangerous criminal. The guy controls his women with brutal force, with guns, holding back the papers, and of course, physical violence. You know, tell you one thing, he's a major figure in the trade here, in the trafficking, and everything he told me smacks of someone who was right at the heart of it. He's a dangerous man.
I thought Puncha and Adam in the suburbs were ruthless and placed little value on human life. But I get the impression that Tibor is far more dangerous. He'll shoot his girls in the arm or leg as a warning if he needs to. I suppose it comes down to a simple fact. To him, a live girl is worth more than a dead one. A recent poll named the Czech Republic as a country with one of the highest levels of political corruption in the world. It ranked just ahead of Nigeria and Mexico. I have found that Prague is a city run by an international mafia underworld that not only controls the sex business, but has a vice-like grip on the country as well, where even the taxi drivers need to arm themselves to survive. The industry they run is making too many people too rich for anyone to want it to stop, and has the police in its back pocket. The Czech people's reluctance to accept what's going on is allowing the crime of sex trafficking to continue virtually unchecked. And until people stop spending money in the sex clubs, which fill the pockets of the criminal organizations that run this city, Prague will remain one of the world's toughest towns. Cape Town, one of the world's most popular tourist destinations. But it has one of the highest rates of robbery, rape, and murder in the world.
When the shit hits the fan, things can go pretty wrong fast.
I'm on a journey to explore a city on the edge. One that is both beautiful and bloodthirsty.
I'm just kind of overwhelmed.
I'm going to see how crime affects everyone here.
I know 3 people myself that have been murdered.
And the extraordinary lengths South Africans go to protect themselves.
On your knees. On your knees. It's not a matter of chance before crime gets you, it's a matter of time.
I want to find out who's controlling the lucrative underworld that makes this one of the world's toughest towns. Cape Town is a magnet for 7 million tourists a year who come to enjoy the sun and surf in one of Africa's most vibrant cities. But there's a side to Cape Town that the average tourist isn't warned about. I'm here to find out how this beautiful place has become one of the most dangerous cities in the world, outside of a war zone.
You can see, looking around, why Cape Town is one of the most popular tourist destinations. But this opulence gives no hint to the fact that this city has one of the highest murder rates in the world.
This city is currently in the grip of a violent crime wave that claims the lives of nearly 3,000 people a year, more than triple the number in the entire UK.
It's a sort of free-for-all. When a guy wants to attack a woman to rob her, he's going to rob her, but then he's also going to stand and say, you know what, I might as well kill you. Why take the chance of you actually pointing me out?
To protect itself from violent crime, the city centre has been heavily fortified. One of the things you notice when you first arrive in Cape Town is how visible security is wherever you go.
There's a monstrous level of security here. There's private security companies, very sophisticated, huge police presence and a huge CCTV operation.
Private security guards in Cape Town are big business and outnumber the police 4 to 1. Despite this high level of security, petty crime still remains a serious issue.
Getting off a long flight, walk straight to trouble basically, because you're a sitting target.
Bruce, here on holiday from the UK, had only been in Cape Town for 1 day when he was mugged just 5 minutes from his hotel.
You were mugged last night. What happened?
Coming out of a bar, a little bit tipsy, worse for the weather. One guy sort of spun me round. I was lucky, I mean, I wasn't stabbed or something like that. You think you're safe, don't you? You think you are, but obviously not. At 2 o'clock in the morning, you're asking for trouble, aren't you?
In response to the fear of crime, the middle classes live in fortress homes. Some have even armed themselves.
Protecting myself in my home. We've got a shotgun and I would use it at the blink of an eyelid.
I carry my firearm on my leg all the time. It's easy accessible. And I also don't carry it on my waist because criminals tend to actually see it and they actually tend to come for you.
Cape Town's problems today can be traced back to the violence of apartheid, which lasted for 46 years and claimed the lives of 21,000 people. Apartheid was a political system by the white minority government used to suppress the rights of the ethnic majority. Images like these shocked the world. When apartheid ended in 1994, the city's optimism was soon replaced by a harsh reality. It now had to deal with apartheid's brutal legacy. A city cut in half along racial lines, with whites living in affluent urban fortresses and everyone else in ghetto slums on the outskirts of the city.
Ours is a tale of two cities. You know, we have a city of incredible natural beauty and affluency, and we also have a city faced with huge poverty and social issues.
These slums are easy to ignore when you're surrounded by the natural beauty of the city. But the two halves of Cape Town do collide, and when they do, it's world news.
The British government is warning its citizens to be careful on Table Mountain.
Recently, Table Mountain, the city's main tourist hotspot, was blighted by attacks on hikers.
And they're easy pickings for muggers who follow the trail of cell phones, cameras, and fancy clothes.
And I heard the sound behind me, and I thought, oh, mountain runners. But before I could even turn around, I had an arm around my throat and a knife at the side of my stomach.
Table Mountain is now monitored with 24-hour security. The authorities are doing everything they can to stop crime impacting on the valuable tourist economy.
These are some of the better times to climb the mountain. Go with a group of friends. Here's some helpful numbers to punch into your mobile phone. And really just empowering people to keep themselves safe when they're exploring our beautiful environment.
I couldn't believe that all this security was in place just to protect tourists from being mugged. What exactly is the threat I'm being protected from? I'm in Cape Town to find out what impact crime is having on this popular tourist destination and how the locals cope living under siege from one of the highest murder rates in the world. With the end of apartheid came freedom.
We are the new people of a new South Africa.
But Cape Town is still living with apartheid's brutal legacy. The police were completely unprepared for the shift from political suppression to crime fighting in the townships. And as a result, criminals have got the upper hand.
The attacks are becoming too frequent.
This latest violent attack on the police has again shown just how ruthless.
Here, crime syndicates hijack a car every 54 minutes.
The gang opened fire on police with automatic rifles and pistols.
Everybody in this country knows somebody who's being affected by crime. It's not a matter of chance before crime gets you, it's a matter of time.
On the fringes of the city centre, beyond the shadow of Table Mountain, is an area known as the Cape Flats, containing an estimated 3.5 million people. The Cape Flats was created when non-white residents in the city were forcibly removed from their homes and dumped here amongst the sand dunes. The area has become a breeding ground for gang activity and lawlessness, right on the edge of the city centre. If I want to find out what's really happening in the underbelly of the city, this is where I need to go. And who better to take me than the officers on the front line? The Flying Squad is an elite response unit that deals with any crime across the Cape area, from murder to hijackings. Inspector Louis Nell has been in the force for 19 years and has seen it all.
This is the area we're going to be covering this evening. The little red stickers represent the hijackings, and the little orange and yellow stickers represent all the stolen and hijacked recovered vehicles.
Louis is taking me to the heart of the crime-ridden Cape Flats, where I've been advised to wear the police's standard issue body armour. Last year, 107 officers were murdered in South Africa, compared with just 2 in the UK. I'm taking no chances.
The truth about any night with the Flying Squad here is that simply anything can happen.
I come to work with the idea in my head of expect the unexpected. You go around the next corner and all hell can break loose. I mean, last night was supposed to be a quiet night, Tuesday night. A police officer got shot again last night.
And the officer survived?
No, he's deceased.
Deceased?
Yeah, he was shot in the face.
I was starting to see why policing in Cape Town is one of the most challenging anywhere in the world.
Vincent, just come again. What's the problem there?
Things are about to get very real when the first call of the night comes in.
We're driving at speed to a suspected firearms incident. No idea what we're going to find. Our ribs are being knocked about by the speed of the car. Surrounded by a rapid line of roads and houses and shacks, and it's just hard to believe that this whole area can be policed.
Arriving at the scene, a large crowd has gathered.
Is it the stabbing, shooting? What happened here?
They've surrounded 2 bodies lying dead on the ground.
There was an argument between the lady and gentleman. He shot the lady, and then afterwards he shot himself. He shot himself through the mouth.
I was shocked that a domestic incident on the street had escalated into murder. In the UK, it would be national news, but here they're so common the police even have a nickname for them: lovers' quarrels.
The weapon you see there lying on the ground is the most common weapon used in the townships. It's called an Orinco, 9mm. It's the most common weapon. It's very cheap, and yeah, if you don't have a record, you can buy a weapon and have one, and it doesn't take long to get a license.
The city has been flooded with cheap firearms, drugs, and gang activity. It's a deadly combination that has this community living in fear. On an average night, Inspector Nell has his hands full, and the night with him has only just begun.
Okay, control, where is that hijacking in progress? This guy's beating his girlfriend. No man. Why are you beating the woman? There's a bunch of guys that's robbing the people at the taxi rank. One of them is apparently armed. Be cautious, guys. On the vehicle.
Unbelievable, the work that the guys do here. I'm just kind of overwhelmed, suicides, carjackings, police officer was murdered today,
firearms, domestics. This is just the spit and sawdust of police officers' work in this town. You can't even comprehend that in terms of UK policing. Simply unbelievable, unbelievable.
The next morning, Cape Townians are waking up after another night of violence in the townships. It's surreal to be back amongst the glitz and glamour of the city centre, knowing that just a few kilometres away, a lethal cocktail of guns, drugs and deprivation is tearing the community apart.
In the Cape Flats and townships which surround the city, guns are cheap and life is cheaper still.
Last year, nearly 3,000 people were murdered in the greater Cape Town area, compared to only 755 in the whole UK. The murder victims are all brought here to the city morgue. Chief pathologist Professor Lorna Martin and her team deal with up to 4,000 unnatural deaths a year.
At the most, we have 8 doctors here at any one time, and I try to make sure that we don't do more than 3 autopsies each a day, because, you know, you kind of lose the plot if you're doing more than 3 a day.
Sure. The bodies you get here, what type of cases are they?
This is our usual fare, I have to say. He's been stabbed multiple times. There are at least 3 stab wounds. The majority of our population are young adult black men. I mean, that's who are getting killed in this country. Everybody's carrying a weapon, so it escalates to killing each other. And do I have any trust in humanity? The answer is no, I don't. But it's because of my job and what I see every day. I think there's just a complete lack of respect.
The morgue itself holds many secrets from South Africa's violent past. Even in death, there was no escape from the apartheid regime.
The fridges were divided. A fridge for the whites and a fridge for all the non-whites. Obviously, all the pathologists were white in those days. If it was a white body, only white policemen could assist the pathologist with that body. It wasn't a vice versa situation.
Lorna deals with the worst this city has to offer on a daily basis, and I wanted to know how she and others like her dealt with living here.
You get asked, why do you stay, and why aren't you leaving? But then it's home, and I mean, I live in Cape Town, it's the most beautiful city in the world, so. But being away, when you come back, you get the sense of you're being dropped into the boiling pot, and not be slowly cooked.
Oh God, that must do something to the mind.
It does bother us. I mean, we have to make sure that we have burglar bars, alarm systems, barbed wire if necessary, and you're always vigilant. Very vigilant, getting out your car, stopping at a road. And it's the kind of low-level anxiety, it's probably quite high-level anxiety that we all live with. And it's there, it's in everybody.
But not everyone is prepared to live in a state of permanent anxiety. The high murder rate has seen an exodus of South Africans emigrate to the UK. As many as 500,000 now live in London. For those that remain, homes are like fortresses. Some would even say prisons.
I'm about to meet a group of guys who've got a very original response to the very real security issues facing people here in Cape Town.
RentSec offers high-tech security, the same as the one used by the White House and the Israeli consulates around the world. Properties can be monitored and defended from a command center 900 miles away in Johannesburg. These burglars are breaking into a fast food restaurant protected by RentSec. But there's a surprise in store. State-of-the-art, high-pressurized fog, which reduces visibility to 0 and has stopped 70 burglaries so far this year. I volunteered to experience this for myself.
And here we go. Wow. Oh, it's a menthol smell, isn't it?
Correct, but we can actually add pepper gas mixed in with that.
Well, that is very disorientating. Within 3 seconds, you simply are blind. You've no idea where you are. As a tool, very effective, amazing.
I can empathize with the South African fortress mentality. If it was my family, there would be no limit to how much I would spend to protect them.
I know 3 people myself that have been murdered in South Africa. So it is something that over the last 15 years or so we've had to deal with, and potentially crime is changing. It evolves all the time. So when you fill a gap in one particular area, they move on to different areas.
Personal safety is such a big concern in Cape Town that I went to find out how people protect themselves from danger. In the southern suburbs, Charles Montgomery runs Suburban Guns, one of the largest exporters of firearms from South Africa to the auction houses of the UK.
Come on round. Inside here we've got in the region of 3,500 guns in here. It's a 12-gauge shotgun called a Protector.
That's what it says on the tin.
What we call a little bling gun. If anyone's going to buy a gun for self-defense, we would encourage a woman to buy something like a 38 Special.
Previously, it was possible to buy a gun even with a criminal record because enforcing checks was difficult. As a result, many unsuitable applicants slipped through the net. Now that legislation is more stringent, there's been a spike in the sales of non-lethal devices like the American-made pepper ball. It doesn't need a license and can be bought over the counter.
All right, so you aim for the chest or the stomach.
Yeah.
Ready to go.
And does that hurt when you...
It's terrible. If the guy's wearing a T-shirt and you're shooting, it's going to push the T-shirt into his skin. And it's incredibly painful. But the real thing is the dust itself. I don't think he has much time to feel pain because by the time he starts vomiting and his eyes are burning like hell, he can't see.
So who would mostly buy this? Who would you recommend?
Well, general public, especially those people that have had the nasty experience of being robbed, attacked, hijacked, which happens fairly often.
Whilst I was here, I wanted to find out more about the proliferation of illegal firearms on the street. The gun that most interests me is the Norinco 9mm, which we saw being used last night to such devastating effect. Made in China, it's the most commonly used gun in the townships.
Cheapest chips.
So how much is it?
£80, 80 English pounds.
That's extraordinary, isn't it? Absolutely extraordinary. A new gun for a pistol. And of course, it's as, well, cheap as it is, it's as lethal as any other pistol.
Yeah. They were imported in container loads.
These guns, have found themselves heavily involved in crime in the wrong hands.
They do end up on the street.
According to Amnesty International, the Norinco has a high currency on the black market. They're smuggled into Cape Town by Chinese triads and bartered with street gangs for drugs. I've never shot a gun before, so I was curious to feel firsthand what the Norinco was capable of.
Okay. There we are, you got it. There we go. Well done, sir. That's pretty good shooting.
How did I do? I have no idea if I hit anything.
If you have a look, you've got every single one in the target.
That is an absolute miracle. I was just scared holding it. I think for me it was really kind of nervous knowing that I had a kind of a machine in my hands that could kill, but to have it in your hand and to feel the power behind the first time I've ever pulled a pistol, it's like, ooh.
If I can hit the target with no training, then imagine how dangerous this gun could be in the wrong hands. I'm exploring the violent underbelly of Cape Town, where the police are fighting an uphill battle against crime.
I mean, this is a tough, tough place, and it just seems impossible to police.
A lethal cocktail of firearms and drug abuse in the townships is threatening to overspill and engulf the city centre. When democracy arrived for South Africa in 1994, Cape Town was turned into a fashionable tourist destination overnight. But alongside the influx of visitors, the city has had to deal with the arrival of more sinister elements. International drug cartels.
Organized crime saw the gap far smarter than the police chiefs and started moving in to a South Africa where there was very little capacity to deal with crime because the capacity had been diverted to deal with political opposition.
Cape Town has become a crucial transshipment point for the narcotics trade because of its ideal position between East and West. The city has been flooded with a drug called tick, a crude form of crystal meth or speed. Since exploding in 2002, tick has now become the primary drug of choice in the Cape Flats area and is directly fueling the crime wave in Cape Town. I'm on my way to meet a group of guys who've agreed to talk about their addiction to tick. I'm curious to find out why this drug has got the city in its vice-like grip.
This is their equivalent, our equivalent of a crack den. And it's just a rundown place where they can keep an eye out, see who's around, and they can get a privacy and do their shit.
The drug causes paranoid delusions and violent behavior, and I don't know what mood the addicts are going to be in when they arrive.
Where do you want to sit, guys? We can have a chat.
We can't do this in the wind.
No problem, just do whatever you want.
Before speaking to me, they need a hit. It costs 50 rand, the equivalent of only £3. A lot of money in a city with almost 50% unemployment.
Now the events are open.
And how long would that last? How long?
Dus, no, weekend.
3 rounds.
3 rounds. And then we need more, you see, just to calm us. Otherwise, we're gonna run around like mad people. And really, it makes your hair and your neck stand up.
And what does it make you feel? How do you feel?
I feel lighter. I feel more energetic.
Can you explain to me what the ingredients are in tick?
You don't want to know, man.
Like kitchen material, like
this is part of
hair stuff.
So
this is part of it.
What's that?
This is bleach.
Bleach?
Bleach,
So bleach.
Toilet cleaners and such stuff. All that stuff, they throw in there. Retex.
Poison for the rats, my bro. But inside of our bodies, it's raw.
The police say it's a very aggressive drug.
Yeah, to some, yeah.
Do you do it every day?
Well, if I have the money, I'll do it every day.
And do you have a job at the moment?
No, I don't have it. It's not everyone that knows I'm doing this. You see, I'm just keeping it on a low profile.
The mood has improved very suddenly, I have to say, in the room. It's an escape from the pain and lack of opportunities, lack of jobs, but also it is a trigger for violence, for crime, and a lot of misery.
In Manenberg, a township in the Cape Flats, I've been invited to Sunday lunch, with a difference. Every weekend, this group of ex-gangsters meet up to relax and smoke marijuana, grown in their own backyard.
For this is 10 rand. 10 rand.
Between them, these guys have spent more than 40 years in prison as members of the 28th, one of the most powerful prison gangs in Cape Town.
Don't remember me. Remember the day when I was born in an evil place.
We are the gangsters. Even in prison, if you go into prison, we are the rulers in prison. To survive, we must just stick together.
Even this group of hardened ex-cons have to watch their own backs.
You are surrounded with people that carry guns, people that are high on drugs. I mean, a guy with a gun and that is intoxicated with drugs is a very dangerous combination. So if you walk on the wrong place at the wrong time, you fucked.
This is MacIntyre, a former boss responsible for punishing other gang members. I've been told he once cut out someone's heart while still alive.
Well, I was quite naughty. Did terrible things, but okay. I was forgiveness along the way.
Since his release from prison, MacIntyre says he has turned his back on crime because he's seen how street gangs are now exploiting the youngest generation.
The fashion now is that We are school children. School children is not suspected. You won't know when a school child comes up to you that he's coming to kill you. And that's not the only way how they use the kids. They would put children on the stukdrak or unga, and then they would send them to the streets and pump on them. This generation, among us, we call them the most stupid generation.
I was shocked that gangs have started using young kids to do their dirty work and paying them in tick. A new generation of young Cape Townians are being robbed of their future by a mixture of bleach and rat poison. It isn't just the Cape Flats community under siege from the tick epidemic. Its effects have reached one of the city's most affluent areas. In Hout Bay, a seaside town popular with tourists, the locals live side by side with one of the newest townships in the city. In the space of just a few years, it has grown from 400 families to an estimated 40,000 people. And crime has soared.
The main problem we have is stealing for drug money, tick. I'm not trying to paint a bleak picture, but we've seen definitely prostitution 10, 12 years old.
The local expats decided enough was enough and took matters into their own hands.
Watch con, Scott Base, come in.
A sophisticated neighbourhood watch scheme was set up using two-way radios, lookout points and residents on patrol. Crime has been reduced by 40%.
The police cannot do it, not because they don't want to. They're overworked, undermanned, underpaid and outgunned. When the shit hits the fan, pardon my French, everybody has to be aware that things can go pretty wrong fast.
61-year-old Rob Patterson is originally from Scotland and has lived in Africa for the past 18 years. He served in the SAS and was a communications officer during the Falklands. Now retired, his training has unexpectedly come into good use.
This can also be a kind of watchtower for you, is that right?
If there are any muggers on the beach, they generally come up over the top and disappear in there. But we then have people watchers up in the high hills here, above me up in the mountains, on the hillside there. They can see those people.
This is ironic that it took a kind of crime wave to actually bring a lot of strangers in the community and expats together.
The people you think are your friends will never come. It's the people you would never consider bond, group together. And the secret was trying to encourage the older ones to come into the group. Just because they weren't fit enough to run up a hill had nothing to do with fitness. But we need your eyes and your ears.
WatchCon's star recruits are the two ladies in the self-styled A-Team.
Sorry, I get it around eventually.
Expats Val from Wales and Anne-Marie from Austria go on daily patrol, on the lookout for anything suspicious.
You see them just hanging around here. Normally, you could say there's about 100 or more just sitting around by the traffic lights. People have been encouraged not to wind down their windows, and sometimes they actually snatch things like jewellery from your neck and that sort of thing.
Just pause a little bit, but he should be there, Owen.
So what's he doing? It's mainly their pace and the way they look. He's walking fast for an African. Which is not being derogatory. It's just their whole body language. There's something about them that think, that doesn't look right. You get a sixth sense about it.
Val should be a police detective. She's very good.
Just then, a call comes through from Dario's, the local cafe on the seafront.
About 25 minutes ago, a cell phone was taken from my dad's garage. The guy got scars all over his face.
They're so brazen, eh? That's the shop. God.
When the ladies arrive, the thief is nowhere to be seen. For owner Dario and his staff, this is not their first encounter with petty crime.
One of my other girls got mugged on the beach, but she beat them both up, 2 young little boys. She's quite big and she knocked the daylights out of them. But it happens very often, very frequent, and it's sad because beautiful place.
Whilst the fear of crime has mobilized the white community to protect itself, many in the black community aren't as fortunate. I've heard about one story more than any other which epitomizes the devastating effect drugs are having on entire families. 47-year-old Ellen Packy's son started smoking tick at the age of 14. He turned from a happy-go-lucky teenager into a drug addict, physically and mentally tormented her for 6 years. Until she could take it no longer and was driven to do the unthinkable. She killed her own son.
We had to do the interview, obviously, in a safe house because this community remains divided. Those who say that she was an abused mother pushed to the brink, and those who say she was a cold, calculating murderer.
Ellen is out on bail awaiting trial. She's agreed to tell her story for the first time about what happened. I'm going to find out for myself what turned this mom into a murderer.
Ellen, just tell me what kind of boy Adam was.
You know, he was always a person who sings, make his own music, wanted to dance, and he will make you laugh, you know. And
And as you look back, he was beginning to get addicted to tick at that stage.
yes, if I look back, it was becoming so terrible. Wherever he used to just smash all my windows at the back, you know. I had to put burglars up there in my house.
You put kind of burglar prevention against your own son.
He made me a prisoner in my own house, you know. I called the police lots of times. They used to tell me, well, they can't do anything about this. He would throw me with water in my face while I'm sleeping to get up to go to work. He would steal my things and then I have to pay him to go get the things back. And when the end of the month comes, when I get my wages, I have to give it actually all to him, you know, to go and just smoke it out or do whatever he needed to do, you know.
And on that day you snapped, what can you remember much of what was going through your head?
I went inside, and that's when I went to go get the rope, you know, and I then stand there with the rope in my hand. I don't know, I was hesitating, and then I think, well, I'm gonna just now do it, you know. I put the rope around his neck, and I thought to myself, but this is not right, it doesn't feel right to me. But what he doing isn't also right. Why is he doing this to me? I just want him to stop with whatever he's doing. And that's when I pulled tight and tighter, and then my hands was cutting, so I took his top and I wrapped it around my arm, and I just pulled it tighter, and then put the rope around the end of the bed. And I was standing there, and I said, you know, while I was standing there, I just said, Lord God, forgive me for what I did.
Sends chills down my back just thinking of here's a mother driven to such a terrible crime. I don't think she thought she had any other option. I don't think she thought that there was another way. She knows she snapped, and there's a terrible pain at having killed her son. She sought help from everyone, and no one was there to give her a helping hand. And not the police, not even the church, not her family, not her community. She was living in a prison created by her son, created by this terrible drug tick. What a terrible, terrible story. But it's a small little window into the ravages that drug tick has on this entire community.
Since filming, Ellen has been found guilty of murder and is awaiting sentencing. In a city with murderers and drug dealers allowed to roam free, this mother was facing life in prison because she had been abandoned by the system. Both sides of the city are being forced to protect themselves against the drug epidemic sweeping their communities. But the biggest threat facing the whole of Cape Town is more hidden and far more sinister. My journey into Cape Town's underbelly has been a shocking eye-opener.
When I first spent some time here in Cape Town, I was genuinely scared. I was anxious.
There's a feeling of constant anxiety here that people are not safe. And the police are overwhelmed by the scale of the problem. Stepping in to fill this vacuum are powerful foreign crime syndicates who've started to control large parts of the city.
We have a colourful bunch, and Cape Town is very popular. This is where the successful bosses tend to hang out. The beautiful beaches, the wine farms. The law enforcement agencies threw up their hands and said, we don't know how to cope with this.
Once the police realized groups like the Chinese triads and Russian mafia had already established themselves, it was too late. One businessman in Cape Town who knows what it feels like to be at the wrong end of organized crime is Shane Harrison.
You sexy motherfucker.
He runs Mavericks, the largest upmarket strip club in the city.
You can't do decadence cheaply and nastily. You've got to do it stylishly. Then it becomes actually quite cool and funky.
Things started to go wrong when the Russian mafia tried to muscle in on his business and steal his girls.
Once Mavericks started doing well, they decided they wanted a piece of their action. So they tried to muscle in, you know, old school tactics.
Yeah.
I've had 2 hits put out on me. The first one, they blew up my car. They came looking for me in the club. My general manager got pistol whipped by 3 thugs with pistols.
The man responsible was Yuri the Russian Yulenitsky, the most feared criminal boss in Cape Town.
Yuri the Russian was thought to be the boss of the Russian mafia in South Africa.
That particular individual is no longer around. He was killed in a very bad, incident. But I mean, he was a underworld figure that lived by the sword.
Reap what you sow.
Yuri the Russian was gunned down on the streets of the city in a brutal attack that also claimed the life of his 4-year-old daughter.
Yuri Yulianitsky's wife is the only survivor of this apparent contract killing.
The murder remains unsolved. The Russians and other syndicates have moved into Cape Town to capitalize on the lawlessness here. Can the city stem the rising tide from these dangerous criminals? That night, I met back up with Inspector Louis Nell from Cape Town's flying squad.
Flashing lights.
He's on the front line working in difficult circumstances, and I want to know if the criminals can be beaten.
Do you think it's possible to get a grip on the crime without kind of ghettoizing the city?
I don't think it's possible to police out crime in this country. Crime is too big an issue here. It's too big a thing. Too many people live off crime.
And is that disheartening for you, knowing that you can just keep the lid on it?
Whether he's going to be on the street tomorrow again, I'll lock him up again. He'll do something wrong again, and I will lock him up again. And I will keep on locking him up until he gets fed up with me. And it does happen, and he will come for me eventually.
You have to be a certain personality to be able to handle that, I suspect.
Yes. I suppose you have to have a split personality for that matter.
I've seen the worst this city has to offer, But despite this, I fundamentally believe in the ability of people here from all across the racial divide to make this town a better place to live.
I'm very positive, and I do believe that South Africa will sort itself out. We're never going to be a city with no crime. I don't think any big city is going to be a city with no crime.
Cape Town's got enormous prospects. I mean, otherwise I wouldn't have invested. I could have lived anywhere.
People say, why do you want to stay here? Well, the answer is there. The sun goes down there at night, sat up here with a cup of tea, G&T, game on.
I really hope the future for Cape Town is more Cape Hope than Cape Fear.
There's battle lines being drawn. Nobody's right if everybody's wrong.
I've come to a place that's world famous for being a party town. But I'm going beyond the glitz and the glamour to try and uncover reports of a notorious underworld.
All I do is kill. That's all I know how to do.
Scary mother.
This is a place where nearly half the males arrested have traces of cocaine in their system.
5,894 grams of cocaine.
And some parts of town have seen a 40% rise in the murder rate.
Are each of you prepared to kill?
Prepared to kill.
I'm in Miami, USA, one of the world's toughest towns. Miami, a picture postcard tourist destination, famed for its beaches and its nightlife, a mecca for entertainment with a personality to match. Scratch the surface of Miami's glitz and glamour, and it reveals a much darker picture.
You'll never have a club where nobody's doing drugs. It's not possible.
Anyone that's looking for drugs in South Beach can find the drugs.
Over the last 18 months, there's been an upsurge in gang violence, giving Miami a higher murder rate than New York and LA. I'm here to find out why.
That is a spectacular sight. That's Miami. That's the Miami that we all know from Miami Vice. And you talk to the old guard, the old cops who ran the beat then, and they say that an awful lot of what you see here, the shiny buildings, the great condos, an awful lot of that, more than anybody really wants to admit, was built on drug money.
I'm on my way to meet someone who knows all about how this city's drug trade operates. A man who single-handedly built an empire from the profits of cocaine. John Roberts was once one of the biggest importers of cocaine in American history. In the 1980s, he imported approximately $20 billion worth of drugs.
Would it be true to say that a lot of the Miami that we see, the glitz and the glamour, the tourist side of Miami, the beach, was built on cocaine?
I would say...
And on your business?
80 to 90% of it was built on cocaine. When I came down here, and I used to go to what's now called South Beach, there was nothing but lines of old people and rockers just sitting there waiting to die, you know what I mean, till God or whoever controls whatever it is, it's your turn to die, they'd die, and the next old person would get in the chair and they'd rock back and forth.
So this town was, it's fair to say, was built on cocaine.
I would like somebody to, you know, argue the other side and tell me how else it was built, because there's no other way. There was no industry in Miami back then. You look back then, you didn't have what you have now. There was no industry. There was nothing back then. Miami was the South. Miami wasn't far from Mississippi. You know, it was really the southern rednecks back then.
Paint a picture of the lifestyle that this incredible, huge, incredible billion-dollar business gave you.
Mm-hmm. There was nothing you couldn't do or you couldn't buy. We used to eat in a restaurant called The Forge. What we had was our own room. I'd go in there with my friends. We'd get fucked up, excuse my English, drunk, destroy the room, throw drinks against the wall, have parties with girls on the table and under the table, destroy the place. They'd send me the bill the next day, they'd fix the room, and I'd come back a week later. We did it every week.
But the good times and easy money didn't come without its fair share of extreme violence.
Cocaine, everybody's nervous, everybody's uptight, everybody's looking at everybody strange. The people I was involved with, unfortunately, Rafa, he would take a mound of coke, he'd pile it on the table, and he'd have one of his guys empty the cigarettes out, and he would load it back. So this man was a paranoid schizophrenic. I mean, you could be sitting at dinner, and the table next to you would look at you, he'd decide to kill the whole table. And I'm not exaggerating, that's how paranoid the man was. And next thing you knew, he'd be shooting everybody at the table next to you, and you'd be going out the door, you know what I mean? You didn't know what was gonna happen.
As cocaine became big business, so did the violence. As Colombian drug dealers, high on their own supply, shot each other up on the streets of the city. This was the era of the cocaine cowboys, and it made Miami the murder capital of America. But in the 21st century, there are new rules of engagement in Miami's drug trade, turning parts of the town into a war zone.
You take me here. You see this here? You live by it, you're gonna die by it. I don't need my child living and dying by this. I tell you what, you figure it out.
After New York and LA, Miami is the most popular American tourist destination. Not bad for a city that arose from a swampy flatland a little more than 100 years ago. Miami owes its very existence to the illicit trade in cocaine, a trade whose workforce has been fueled by the flow of immigrants into the city. In the past 50 years, wave after wave of migrants have flooded this city, all looking for an opportunity to flourish. In 1980, Fidel Castro tricked the US into admitting hundreds of Cuba's most violent criminals. Before the authorities knew it was going on, Miami's crime rate soared. This was the era immortalized in the film Scarface. After the Cubans came the Jamaicans, who fought deadly battles with Cuban gangs for control of the city's drug market. The latest wave of migrants, the Haitians, are now major players in Miami's drug trade. I'm with John Roberts, once the largest cocaine importer in American history. I'm interested in his views on Haiti's involvement with today's cocaine trade.
It's rampant there now, it's rampant. Now there's murders because somebody looks the wrong way or something. You know, it's just stupid out there now.
What's interesting is when the Haitians came over here, the black African Americans, they hated them.
100% correct. The Haitians became like what the Jamaicans used to be. Now the Haitians have taken over.
Because their capacity for violence is greater than anybody else's.
Yes, and they have much more force. There's not that many Jamaicans here compared to Haitians. In numbers alone, they outnumber them. So that's why the Haitians have pushed them out.
In Miami's drug trade, John was a major player, but he wasn't selling the drugs on the street. That was left to the gangs to sort out, whose rule is the barrel of a gun. And the ones with the most guns right now and a willingness to use them are a Haitian gang known as the Zo Pound, which roughly translates as Haitian to the bone. Their notoriety has spanned nearly 2 decades. I've heard stories of extreme brutality, street executions, and voodoo rituals. They reside in the suburb which has become known as Little Haiti, about a 10-minute drive from the tourist areas of South Beach. Even though most visitors to Miami wouldn't dream of going to this neighborhood, cocaine has an inescapable presence in this city. It was discovered that 78% of all dollar bills from Miami contain traces of cocaine, the highest in the entire country.
I'm with the City of Miami Police, and I'm with their gang unit, specialist gang unit. They're going to take me a tour of the city's gangland hotspots. They're also going to take me to Little Haiti, and they're giving me a little insight as to where Zo Pound fit into a matrix of gangland violence in this city of exiles.
What strikes me almost immediately is just within a few blocks, we leave the glitzy skyscrapers of downtown Miami and enter a whole different world. It's still daytime, but there's a palpable sense of tension on these streets.
This is the kind of New York version of the projects around here.
This is the projects right here. A lot of narcotics, a lot of guns in this area, a lot of drive-by shootings up here.
And right here in Little Haiti, what's the weapon of choice among the gangs here and the drug dealers and Zoe Pound?
The AK-47, which the street name for it here is a chopper.
We're on the outskirts of Little Haiti, and it feels like anything can happen at any moment. Sure enough, 2 streets away, a drug dealer is about to have a surprise visit.
Both marijuana and cocaine.
All that for weed, G. All this for a little bit of weed. See it right there? Bro. Marijuana.
These simultaneous incidents show that no matter how big or small the quantity, Miami Police Force has a zero tolerance when it comes to drugs.
When people talk to us about Zoe Pound, I got a sense that they were created, you know, from different DNA, different ingredients to other gangs.
The crimes they committed were, heinous. They were really, really, really bad compared to the normal type of crime we were used to seeing as far as the gang aspect goes of it.
Was it the sense that when the Zoe Pound started kind of organizing, was there a sense that they were quicker to pull the trigger than anyone else? I mean, what was it about their crimes that set them apart?
They're just letting you know they're ruthless.
Yeah.
You know, that's their nature. For what reason, I don't know, but you know, they are, you know, a step above the other individuals.
There they are, right here. Don't get up. They're walking away, Kevin. They're gonna run, Kevin. Hey, over here. Everybody put your hands on the car.
To me, these guys look like a bunch of kids hanging out after school, but I'm informed they are in fact affiliated to another local street gang, Prey 5. And the gang unit aren't about to take any chances.
Split your shit on camera. What's wrong with you, motherfucker? I'm doing fifth of my shit. So fucking put your hands anywhere I can't see them again.
The police inform me that this girl, Jennifer, was a target of a drive-by shooting only last week.
So what happened? So was there a shooting?
They were just shooting at us.
Yeah, and why do you think they were shooting at you?
I don't even know.
Who would want to shoot at you guys?
I don't know. Punks.
Yeah.
Punks that don't got no lives.
Are you guys at school? You at school? Yeah?
Yeah, we go to school. Stay in school.
Yeah, and how old are you?
Me?
Yeah.
15.
15.
This is CCTV footage of Jennifer and the actual drive-by shooting. Even though the bullets went through the window of a local library, no one was injured. The police investigation revealed Jennifer was selling drugs on someone else's turf. In these parts of Miami, that's a crime punishable by death.
What do you want to do? Who do you want to be when you grow up?
Graphic designer.
Graphic designer?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yeah. I love drawing.
Yeah?
Yeah, but I don't think I'm gonna make it there. All the records I got. Too much felony, sir.
Well, too many drive-bys, you're definitely not going to make it.
Man, I hope I end up getting killed one day.
Why?
I don't like this world. This world getting too hard for me, for real. It's too rough out here.
It's amazing. At 1-to-1, you know, they're just kids, you know, but, you know, you talk to the officers here and, you know, their records, they're subject of drive-by shootings, drug deals, and you think, they're 15. What future do they have?
Teenagers like Jennifer are being sucked into gang life with little prospects of ever getting out. It seems the gangs have a strong grip on the city. I'm on my way to meet one of Miami's top crime journalists, Frank Alvarado to find out more about the influence of Zo Pound, the newest and deadliest gang in the city.
My understanding is that Zo Pound, like some of the other gangs, they started really coming over like after '92, after the military coup in Haiti, forced the mass exodus of Haitians over, here to Miami. And I guess shortly after they arrived here, Zo Pound, through fear and intimidation, they were just taking over the streets of Little Haiti. And it's not unusual when the police show up to a homicide scene to find 50 casings on the floor, because the modus operandi behind Zo Pound is to, empty their guns. Everybody that's in the car has to empty their guns.
Frank has an idea about a possible route into the Zo Pound through an ex-gang member called Bulldog. Bulldog has made a name for himself in Miami after appearing in a number of low-budget feature films.
Ah, yes. Here's our boy.
Bulldog. He'll get you the Zo Pound for sure.
Ladies and gentlemen, give it up. Presenting to you from around the world, the ghetto president, Bulldog.
I'm the ghetto president, every city I represent. My president stop arguments.
Bulldog has agreed to meet me, but there's a catch. He wants to do it in the heart of Little Haiti, and I've been told to come alone. Here the streets are run by numerous Haitian gangs, the Zo Pound being the most feared and dominant. This area is rife with unemployment and the perfect place for gang culture to flourish. It's disconcerting to think that I'm only 10 minutes away from the affluent tourist strip of South Beach. The Chef Creole restaurant is a focal point for the community here, serving traditional Haitian food.
Bulldog. Mac, everyone calls it's Donal. Everyone calls him Mac. How you doing?
All right, Mac.
How you doing?
Hi, Mac. I'm Keela.
Keela, how you doing? Hey.
How you doing, man?
Hey,
So
good
it's
to
our
see you.
introduction on camera. Huh?
Yeah, well,
It's all good.
Hey, you're my passport, into this world.
I'm like the ghetto president, they call me, I was real wild in the streets, bullet holes everywhere.
Yeah. Where?
Here. Went in here, come out back there. I was under my legs, I was paralyzed for 6 months.
The guys who were shooting at you, how are they doing? Are they still alive?
They're not doing that good,
Yeah, I mean, without incriminating yourself, are they breathing oxygen or are they taking nitrogen?
Yeah,
What are they doing?
It's a long time ago, though, All of that got dealt with. You have to earn your respect on these streets.
Well, that's a Bulldog, and see whether he kind of opens the door for us into this whole world of Zo Pound.
Yo, Blind, it's Bulldog, man. I got a film crew here, man, from UK. I'm trying to bring him to Zo Pound, man. I need you to open some doors for me to get to the Zo Pound. All right? So I'm gonna meet you a little bit, and then we'll do some introductions from there, all right? I want you to bring,
Bulldog tells me to follow him to an undisclosed location. Road's blocked by a police car up here, but that guy more or less said, I'm a killer. And this story about Zo Pound is more complex than the amount of bodies and the amount of drugs that they've shifted over the years. I hope this gang will give me an insight into how the city's drug economy works.
Hardly driving, or more prowling. And he's waving at people he knows, and he's making his presence felt. And his presence means that our presence isn't a threat to anybody. So that man's our passport, and also he's our safety net.
In a quiet back street in Little Haiti, we wait. Some members of the Zo Pound will come and find us.
What they do, homie? You already know. It's Blind.
Suddenly, the Zo Pound appear almost out of nowhere, and they keep coming. I hadn't expected to see them in such numbers. These guys have earned their reputation as one of Miami's most violent gangs by using deadly force to control this neighborhood, prime real estate for lucrative drug dealing. I was soon about to see for myself why this gang is so feared.
Why would you want to torture me?
Color your eyes.
Yeah.
I might don't like the way you look. I might not like the way you smell today.
Yeah.
I'm just an angry motherfucker.
I'm in Miami investigating the deadly drugs trade, a black market economy that has helped to build this city into a glamorous world destination. I've gone to Little Haiti, only a 10-minute drive north from Miami's iconic beaches, but here the city has a very different feel. My contact bulldog has brought me face to face with Zoe Pound, the latest in a long line of immigrants who have arrived in the city chasing the American dream through violence.
So do the police come around by here all the time looking for you guys? They're giving you guys a hassle?
Yeah, they come over here trying to hassle us, period, point blank. This is the hood, man. They fucks with us every day, man.
I've been getting texts all day. Yes. Where is the money to be made? Is it dealing inside the community with the crackheads, the Hispanics, doing with the Jamaican?
Business is being conducted on all levels, all types of people of all walks of life. Business is business. So when I say business is business, for all people that understand that, you understand business is business.
Evidence of recent drive-bys are apparent when some gang members patrolling the area arrive.
ZP for life, sir.
It's real?
That's real, little sir. Bullet holes, sir. Chopper bullets, sir. ZP, baby. AK-47 live, sir.
Yeah.
The hot boy.
Go ahead and let the people know what have to happen.
Around here, man, you can easily get click-clack. Ain't no coming back from that.
Now, you've been in the wars. You don't mind me asking about the scars there?
Well, this happened before I got with the family. This happened when I was young. I don't want my son being 15 to have to endure what I endure. This here, I was in a wheelchair. My mom cried days and nights. And I had to witness my homeboys' mama crying, but I never ever seen their children again, so I wouldn't want that for mine. You take me here. You see this here? You live by it, you're gonna die by it. I don't need my child living and dying by this. You feel me? Plain and simple. You live by it, you're gonna die by it. I don't need my child living and dying by that. That's a choice I made, and trust me, that's a choice sometimes I go to bed with, can't sleep about sometimes, because I got a conscience like any other man has a conscience. With the evolution of Zoe Pound ain't gonna be what it started off. We started off as gangsters, but we ain't gonna end up as gangsters, but at the same time, don't cross us, because you will get fucked up.
Hi, dude, Mac.
I'm introduced to another gang member who has turned up with his son.
And what's Zoe Pound about?
Killing pussies.
Yeah.
All I do is kill. That's all I know how to do. Eat, sleep, shit, and kill.
Really?
Simple. I do what I do best.
And is that obviously for business? You're not just doing it for kicks.
For pleasure.
You're not doing it just for pleasure.
For pleasure.
Do I believe that?
I take pleasure in torturing motherfuckers.
Really?
Yes, I would take pleasure in getting out right now and torturing you if I could.
Why would you want to torture me?
The color of your eyes.
Yeah.
I might don't like the way you look. I might not like the way you smell today.
How many do you think you've taken down over the years, if you don't mind me asking?
I lost count. By the time I turned 21, I lost count. Personally, I like to use my knife. I like to be personal with it. It's nothing more exciting than watching the person take their last breath. You know, the look in their eyes when they realize their life is over.
And this is your son here, is it?
This is my son.
And you don't mind to hear him? Does he know about your lifestyle?
He know what I do.
And what do you want for him? Would you mind if he followed in your footsteps, or do you want something different for him?
I prefer a better life for him. That's what I do, so he can have a better life.
Yeah.
I feel if I exterminate enough of you pussies out there, by the time he grow up, he wouldn't have no problems.
Yeah.
I'm just an angry motherfucker. Angry.
Well, it's hard to get a sense that Zoe Pound is just a gang or a drug-dealing business. It seems to have a huge amount of support right across the community here in Little Haiti. You know, and here these are, you know, some of the senior figures in the community, you know. And one of the guys just showed me a gun, and that's 5 to 10 years. And I think they're pretty open about their street activities, which is about drugs and everything associated with that. That's murders, killings, and revenge and retribution. You know what? Some of them are scary fucking motherfuckers. I noticed a t-shirt being worn proudly by a gang member, and I was about to find out who's pulling the strings. You're gonna tell me who this is?
This man Chloe.
Yeah. This is a top man, isn't it?
Yeah, good man.
Yeah.
You know.
And where is he now?
Lockdown.
Lockdown, yeah. He's in jail. I'm told Macazo, the gang's leader, has been charged with 4 counts of murder. To understand what makes this gang so ruthless on the streets of Miami, it's important to understand where they've come from. These are the streets of Haiti's capital, Port-au-Prince, one of the most dangerous places on earth. This is where the Zoe Pound were forged. Ever since the Haitians freed themselves from slavery and gained their independence over 200 years ago, the country has been in a constant state of chaos and violent unrest. In September 1991, thousands of Haitians were killed in vicious street battles after the country's newly elected president was overthrown. It was a ferocious and bloody coup, causing a mass exodus of refugees seeking asylum in the US. They were not welcome. Those that did get into the country bound together and settled in what was to become known as Little Haiti. Blind has decided he wants to show me a different side of Haitian culture, away from the gangs. He wants to take me to meet his mother-in-law, a voodoo priestess.
The Miami 54th Street is like the first place you come to in Miami, if you Haitian. Little Haiti, 54th Street. Voodoo is embedded in Haitian culture. I don't practice it, but it's part of my culture, man.
Looking around, it seems that voodoo and Christianity have merged to become one religion. How important is it here, you know, that it's
the voodoo is very important to us, especially the Haitian people.
And what does it mean? Is it kind of the spirit within the Haitian community it's voodoo?
It's very strong.
Now you're a voodoo priestess, would that be fair enough? Okay, now it seems to me you must carry a lot of stress, because if you're trying to take a lot of pain from other people, it's got to go somewhere.
Not me, I do not take it. My spirit take it. My spirit do the work, not me. Because if there was for me, how you think I could do a work like that? I have to call my spirit first to do the work.
So what can you do? You can heal, you can nurture, can you?
Me, I do everything. Only thing I don't do, I do not kill people.
Okay.
And anybody who's sick, they're welcome.
So if we want to get a voodoo blessing, a sense from you, you can...
Do it for you?
Do it for me.
Yes. It's nothing bad on it, you see? You could smell it. It's very strong, but it's good.
It's obviously been decided that everyone could do with a good look top-up, and I can see why. When you live on the mean streets of Little Haiti, you're going to need all the luck you can get.
That's my girlfriend.
That's your girlfriend? Because you don't have your luck.
My $86 voodoo good luck charm. The spell has been cast. But you know what? It's, I do feel uplifted. Real or imaginary, in my head or in the spirit world, I don't know. It makes me feel good. For a moment, I have to remind myself that I'm still in Miami.
Prayers go up, blessings come down.
Back amongst the tourists in South Beach, it's hard to imagine that the Zoe Pound are only 10 minutes up the road. But this short journey makes me think that there are two cities within Miami. And I wanted to understand how the two worlds came together. Were visitors to Miami inadvertently mixing with gangs like Zoe Pound by looking for a good time amongst the bars and clubs of South Beach?
Miami Beach is an interesting place because you'll see a little bit of everything, from the street level stuff to the high-end nightclub, you know, designer party drugs.
You'll never have a club where nobody's doing drugs. It's not possible.
You'll have some dope peddlers that'll come over, they'll take the bus or they'll drive over from some of the areas on the mainland like Little Haiti, and they'll end up here and they'll sell their marijuana and their cocaine and stuff, street level sales to people here in South Beach.
I think that's the whole reason a lot of these clubs exist, is because of coke and meth. That's the drug people are gonna be on, and they're gonna be awake and they wanna party.
Back with the Zoe Pound. Bulldog's been in contact. He tells me the gang are keen to show me what life is like when they're selling drugs on the street. They insist I must meet them tonight. My rendezvous is outside an unlikely English pub in the middle of Little Haiti called Churchill's. And to my surprise, I find an unexpected friendly face in the form of the local doorman.
You don't mind me saying, it's a bit bizarre to hear an English accent in the middle of kind of Little Haiti.
When I first started, the first 6 months, yeah, I'll be honest, I was scared as shit. I'd be sitting here like this, cars would pull up with tinted windows, and I'd be thinking about it like, God, you know, they could roll a window down.
Because we've been with some of the Zoe Pound lot, and let me tell you, they're packing.
Yeah.
But I mean, they're carrying, right?
Every now and again, like I said, it will go off, whether it's a shooting, shots fired. A lot of it is what I call territory. We have a nice car park here, they're trying to muscle in on the car park, charging the people $1 or $2. I live in the hood. I live just a few blocks up the street. Even when I drive home, even though I know people know me, I'm always like, I've got my key ready to go in my gate. Once I'm in my gate, I feel safe, but I'm always alert.
Chris's views on Little Haiti only reinforce the sense of tension I feel in this neighborhood. It's not long until I get the call I've been waiting for.
We've been dragged to the back streets of Little Haiti. It's their part of the hood, it's their part of the world, and I don't know what's going to go on, but they're keen to bring us to a house, I think, across there, and they're having a big meeting. I think they're keen just to say that their talk has not been cheap and that they are the real deal. You know, I mean, the casualties on these streets tell us they're the real deal. The rest of the drug dealers and ex-drug dealers in this town tell us they're the real deal, and they're keen to let us know. But what we're going to see and what's going to happen, I don't know.
Bulldog appears.
I don't want to put y'all in that, okay?
Bulldog's not comfortable with the situation. He doesn't think it's safe for us to go inside. But this is what I've come for, and I'm not keen to turn back now.
Hi, buddy. No one's going to be seen. We're not going to show any faces.
There has been a change of mind. They don't want us to enter. Bulldog seems tense as we return to the car. But out of the darkness, J-Dog, a gang member I'd met earlier in the day, approaches. He has some new instructions to take me to an unknown destination. While we're traveling, I take the opportunity to ask him about the Zoe Pound's leader, Macazo.
You know, what makes him so special?
I mean, he's just a guy that just don't give a fuck. He's 100% G-code.
G-code, what does that mean?
Gangster.
Gangster.
Yeah. You know, I mean, all the boys 100% gangster. There's, you know, there's no flawed niggas in our camp, I could say. You know, because everybody keep it gangster and keep it 100% gangster all day, every day.
And does that mean sticking together and having no fear?
Sticking together, having no fear, getting money. I mean, all around the board. What makes you gangster is what you do and how you do what you do. You know what I'm saying? So, Macazo, he's doing his time, and you know, with no pressure on his back, he's just doing it. You know.
I'm not sure what kind of place I've been brought to. Even Bulldog is on edge. I overhear one of the gang members talking on the phone to MacIntyre. Whatever they have planned, it seems it has to be run past their leader for him to endorse from his own prison cell. Some of the Zopan foot soldiers have agreed to meet with me. A quick glance tells me these guys are different from the other gang members I've met so far. These are the guys that sell dope directly onto the streets and have to protect their patch with the barrel of a gun. But needless to say, they wouldn't tell me any details of that evening's operation.
So guys, Zopan, what does it mean to you? Is it a political movement or is it just a family? I mean, tell me what it means to you. 360, good answer. So what does it mean to you, for you, Zopan, you know?
What it means to me? It means life. Without Zopan, it would have been no name for nobody in my life, but for the Zos at all.
For you, Zopan?
It brought unity for us.
It was a time where Haitians couldn't even walk these streets. You feel me? For you to walk these streets, you have to have balls and you have to represent where you're from. Without representing where you're from, you ain't shit. You feel me? So we had to come up with a clique. You know what I'm saying? They came up with a clique, Zopan. A couple of areas we had to go in and do what we do. You feel me? Because without respect, you ain't shit. You feel me? And I hear a lot of people say, hey, you know, respect don't make a man and this and that. You know what I'm saying? I tell you what, you figure it out.
With guns.
Without Zopan, you feel me? Yeah. I mean, it's like that. You feel what I'm saying? So.
Yeah. If you carry a gun, it seems to me, in this neighborhood, you have to either kill or be prepared to kill.
Be prepared to kill.
Okay, is that true? If you carry a gun in this town, on this block, you have to be prepared to kill.
Prepared to kill.
Are each of you prepared to kill?
Prepared to kill.
Yeah. Have any of you killed? Are you going to say?
That's none of that.
You know what I'm saying?
Like I said.
It's not
That's not promotion.
But you have, if you're on the block with a gun, you got to be prepared to kill.
Yeah.
All day.
Just as suddenly as they made their appearance, I'm told my time is up and I have to leave.
You know, we just come out of the meeting with the guys, AK-47s, the Glock. You know, these are guys who have killed. I mean, there's probably, you know, it's not an hysterical assumption on my behalf. You know, very likely those guys have, you know, body bagged, you know, 4 or 5 people, maybe much more. You know, I'm there. It feels all cartoon. It feels like a performance art, and you know, I feel, because I've seen so much of that in the movies, I'm thinking I'm seeing another part of a movie set. That's fucking real. They were there tonight. That performance was put on the orders by MacIntyre, and he's the main man. He's the serpent's head who's locked up.
To try and really understand Miami and how a gang like Zopan works, I need to get access to MacIntyre inside his prison cell. But he's serving a double life sentence for murder, so this isn't going to be easy. Miami, a city built on the profits of cocaine and propelled by a constantly shifting underclass of immigrants, all seeking their own slice of the American dream. For many in this underclass, crime and gangs offer the fastest way out of the ghetto.
Real heyday of crime in this city was in the 80s, when these tourist areas around here were practically no-go areas. Now the police clamped down and moved the crime, and they dispersed the criminals and the muggers and the drug dealing from this tourist area, and it just moved it back into the inner city. The crime hasn't gone away, it's just relocated.
I'm here investigating the latest immigrant gang to have stamped its mark on the city, a deadly Haitian gang known as the Zopan. I've learned that they're major players on the distribution side of the drug trade in this city. Last night, I met with some of their foot soldiers, the guys that work the streets and protect their turf. I'm now about to meet their leader, MacIntyre. MacIntyre is currently serving a life sentence for 4 counts of attempted murder and 2 counts for conspiracy to commit murder. He's appealing these convictions.
This is Dade County Prison. This is the pre-trial detention unit, and we're about to meet MacIntyre, the head of Zopan. Now, we know last night when they put on a show of force for us that MacIntyre had arranged that entire event here in prison. We're about to meet his lawyer and himself. He's going to be very sensitive because he's facing some serious charges.
Macazo has already spent the last 6 years behind bars. I've been granted an interview on the condition that I meet him in the presence of his lawyer.
Mac, how you doing?
I'm Mac too. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm very well, Mac.
Obviously, his lawyer doesn't want Macazo to say anything that would endanger his appeal.
As you know, we're over doing a story about Zopan. First of all, how's jail?
Jail is hard, I mean, but you know, hanging in there.
Yeah.
It's hell, but you know,
Yeah.
you gotta survive.
What does Zopan stand for you?
For me, I mean, pride thing, to be proud of movement, of cause, you know, that's what we fought for. I mean, I know you got, you know, a lot of things, negative things that they say about Zopan, and for me to sit here and, you know, like I'm a saint or an angel, you know, I'll be fooling myself and fooling y'all, which I'm not, but I mean, I had my little run-ins or whatever, but mainly the movement was more for a cause, fighting for our people, and just standing for them, you know, just wanting to see them be proud of who they are, you know.
Well, growing up on the streets, what you had to go through, it surprises me that so many of your characters are still alive, because sometimes it's a dangerous place there.
Yeah, it's a rough life, you know. Wouldn't wish this life on no one.
With his appeal looming, I understand that Macazo has to be on his best behavior. But it's difficult for me to marry the man I've just met to the ruthless gangster the police believe he is. Before I leave Miami, I head back to Little Haiti to meet Bulldog. I ask him to fill in the blanks for me.
Now, on the subject of Macazo, he's at the top of the tree. He's a god, OG, original gangster. He's in for 3 attempted murders, any number of misdemeanors, so they say, right? But anybody who gets it, what I hear on the streets, that guy...
It's not to be fucked with.
Not to be fucked with, of course. Nobody gets the top of the tree like that unless they have a long body count to his name. Lots of notches on your gun.
But to be realistic, to be realistic with you, ain't too many fucking people running these streets that don't have a lot of body counts. Macazo is a living legend out here. If it wasn't for Macazo and his generation, man, this Haitian community still be running around here getting kicked in their ass. It's bad being black and poor in America, but being black, Haitian, and poor, there's nothing worse than that, man.
For some, the only way to Miami's riches is through the illicit drugs trade. The Haitians are the latest arrivals, and it's their struggle for a market share that's given rise to the murder rate. It's a dangerous world, and the ones at the bottom, the foot soldiers, often pay the ultimate price. When opportunities are sparse, many feel they have no alternative.
Around here, man, you can easily get click-clack. Ain't no coming back from that.
I came to Miami to investigate why this town has such a spiraling murder rate. But I can't help feeling that Miami's skyline stands testament to the fact that crime does sometimes pay. In this city of exiles, that message does not go unnoticed as everyone looks for a fast track out of the ghetto. This is the gang culture mentality in the USA, and it's not about to change anytime soon.